Hello and welcome back. This is MC1 Gamer bringing you another Warhammer Fantasy Battles End Times series battle report. This one is called the Battle of Valaya's Gate, and it is the inaugural Book of Grudges edition. This is Anthony from the Sustainable Center's Dwarves and their very first battle on the table against Nefarata and the Undead Legions. After our last battle, which ended pretty abruptly with the Empire being crushed, mostly due to the wacky rules of that particular scenario, we sifted through the book to see if there might be a quick game that we might be able to have that we could just whip up a army lists for. So we did a 2,000 point game, and he had this fairly new but never played army that was pretty much completely painted of dwarves, and they look great. So he decided to work with that and use one of the missions that involves the dwarves. Now, this is the first part of actually a two-part mission. We're not going to be doing the second part mission. The second part actually involves the game Triumph and Treachery. So if you don't know what that is, it's actually a game where multiple players, 3 or more, can play on the same table, and they can combat each other with a variety of also very strange rules. Now, I've played this. It's a lot of fun, but it is not my cup of tea. I do like standard one-on-one games or even just two-on-two games. I like the standard rules of Warhammer Fantasy Battle as opposed to picking who you can attack in certain phases of the game, but everybody else is immune. So I have the honor of being the first that's going to be written in Anthony's new actual real-world hard copy book that he's going to be bringing around. And I did not know this, that dwarf players seem to have this thing, and I love the idea, where they actually bring a Book of Grudges with them to games. And I guess that's the hardcore players, and I think I might jump on the bandwagon and do that if I pick up some dwarves. But I think that's hysterical, and so we decided to do a 2,000 point game. And as you can see, this is the table and the deployment. And there is a gate that the dwarves are defending and the Undead Legions are attacking. There's a number of different requirements, among which the dwarves were required to use the Anvil of Doom. So Anthony basically said, well, great, this is another great way to prove, just like Malorian did, how awful the Anvil of Doom is. But he had to bring out the Anvil of Doom, and I had my requirement is I had to field both Krell and Nefarata. Now, I wasn't expecting to play this, so I didn't bring Nefarata, so we're going to be proxying the Griffin that you see there on the left. That is Nefarata on her Abyssal Terror. And other rules were that the dwarves, again, there's a 2,000 point army, so you can see this is a pretty small army that he has right there in the center. And the dwarves are deployed in a 12-inch thick swath right down the center of the board. And the undead are deployed on either side at very small intervals, very small sections, where I can get reinforcements through there. If I don't fit them initially, I have to fit them within kind of a 6-inch wide by 24-inch long. And I was able to, I think, fit everything because, again, it was a small game and I didn't have massive hordes. And I can come in, but I had to break up my units so that they could come from different sides of the board, which wasn't necessarily a good idea. So like many of the scenarios, the deployment and some of the special rules can really hamper you, and you have to walk into the game, these types of games, expecting that things are going to be a little different. So you're not going to be playing standard lists, and you're going to have to make some compromises and sacrifices as a result. So other rules. The main purpose of the game is for me to get to the gate, defeat his general, and stop this gate from opening. So the rules to actually open the gate are pretty interesting. It doesn't actually even start till turn 4, and his general has to stay within 6 inches of that gate opening. And on turn 4, he can try to open the gate. He can be in close combat. It's not prevented from doing so if he's actually in the midst of fighting. And he can roll a 4-up, and that improves on the turn 5 and turn 6. And on turn 6, no, actually I believe that becomes a 2-up. So on turn 6, it's almost guaranteed he's going to open that gate. So I'm very hard pressed to get to him. So there's some other special rules. They really don't have an impact except for deployment. So here's my right flank. I have 1 unit of dogs, 20 archers, a 20-man strong unit of zombies. And on my left flank, I have 2 units of dogs, all of which the dogs I was expecting to vanguard up. There's my, not built, but I still had all the components of it. My Casket of Souls that has a nice vampire theme. And I'll show pictures of that when I finally mash that up in a complete form. Another 20 units, 20-man unit of skeletons. I've got, I believe, 20 or just under 20, maybe I think 18 or 17 strong unit of Grave Guard, and in that unit is Krell and the Tomb King that I decided to bring just because I wanted to build up that weapon skill 6 and I'm going against Dwarves, which are elite troops, and then Nefarata. I didn't have Nefarata on her Abyssal Terror, so we're going to proxy that with one of Anthony's Griffins. And here's just a close-up look at what I'm doing with my casket. I've got a couple of my mashed up Bretonnian-themed Grave Guard, a nice altar with some candles. I'm using for this one the model for Heimlich Kemmler. I'm going to actually use another Necromancer. I'm thinking of using the Necromancer from the Corpse Cart with a little different kind of a wand instead of his whip. And I'm going to be, and I had long planned to use some spirit hosts, some of the new spirit hosts coming out of Altar, and the spells. So I get Invocation of Nehek, Raise Dead, and Gaze in Nagash. Now Nefarata is a close combat beast. If she can do things like if she kills somebody in a challenge, she can bring up a non-upgraded vampire onto the board, which is phenomenal. But her spellcasting leaves a lot to be desired. So I didn't have much spellcasting for this game, and I didn't mind it too much. I knew I was going up against Dwarves, so why would I go crazy with lots of spellcasting? He's great at defending against it. I wanted to raise up additional units with Raise Dead. I wanted to be able to heal back with Invocation, and I had a nice Magic Missile with Gaze and Nagash. So I believe she has also an extra ability for Magic Missile type attacks where she gets extra dice in terms of damage. So this was not a bad, it could have been better, but not a bad spread in terms of spells. And so Vanguard, I move up both dog units on the left and then the dog unit on the right as well. So turn 1 goes to the Undead Legions, and everybody on the left gets to march because they're within 12 inches of Nefarata. So I move the dogs way up, again trying to screen with any ballistic shooting. Move up my Grave Guard and try to get my skeletons within range to do some shooting. And then I move Nefarata all the way up, trying to get myself behind any countercharge or any charge arc for those Longbeards. And hopefully, if things go right, I can get right in on the Anvil of Doom. There's no way to be shy here when it comes to trying to charge in or get in with Nefarata in this mission. You really can't hide her. We didn't have any terrain that was going to do anything as far as hiding her. I could have maybe tried to be coy and inch my way up behind some of those impassable obstacles. So moved up the dogs and the other units on the right-hand side. They can't march. They're not near the general. And my first phase is a big phase, so I tried to raise some more zombies, and I think he stopped that outright with one of his abilities. He didn't eat the spell though. And then I used my Casket of Doom. I threw all the rest of my dice on the Casket of Doom, and I think I take off his cannon immediately. And I thought that would be the biggest threat. And then my Skeletor Archers go shoot, and I look to try to thin out some of this big Longbeard unit that he has. And I remove, it's a lot of shots. They hit on 5, which is great. And I remove 3 of them. So, Dwarf turn 1. So he swift reforms with his Longbeards, blocks off any possibility of me fitting in with Nefarata if I were to try and charge the Anvil. And then his organ gun just shoots off this unit of wolves. So these combined profiles are a great idea, and it's simpler. It's a cleaner way of doing it. But the thing that GW left out is that there's almost no defense involved. You basically get like 6 or 8 or 10 wounds or something like that for these models, and that's great because you're pretty much guaranteed to survive 1 War Machine shot. 2 War Machine shots, maybe not so much, but you don't have any wards, and unless you're souping it up with some kind of regen, which I did in a previous battle report, which is probably the best way to defend against War Machines with these big, high, single profile models, you're pretty much vulnerable to multiple hits with multiple wounds. I got hit with this Grudge Thrower, direct hit, 1 shot, 6 wounds. I'm lucky I had 8 wounds on her, but that really crippled her. And I can heal them back with successful castings, but I'm looking to get into combat right away. So that was pretty devastating, and it just goes to show how powerful War Machines are against single profile type models. So Undead Legion's turn 2, I do exactly that. I charge. Now I can't charge anything else. I can't get in on the engineer or the organ gun. He's pretty compact here, and I'm not going to reach with any surety his unit on the right side of his castling group. So I didn't want to take the chance of failing and being right in front of this huge unit of Longbeard. So I decided I'm going to have to charge them, and I figured I could do enough wounds to, and hopefully within magic phase, to help me restore some wounds. Also, I'm -1 to be hit, so that helps, and I know he's got static combat res. I just had to take the chance. I certainly didn't want to retreat. I made a long attempt charge with my Direwolves at the engineer. I couldn't quite make the organ gun, so I make both, and I'm very happy about that. I really wanted to get those dogs in on something where they could kind of hold up at least the engineer. Maybe if I hit the engineer, I can overrun into that Grudge Thrower. So I move up my dogs a little further. I'm kind of hoping to bait these warriors into charging them, put me into range of the zombies to try and come and hit them with a flank charge. Maybe I can thin them out a little bit with the skeleton archers. Move up the rest of my unit. I get off 1 invocation, and I heal back a wound off of Nefarata, so she's looking a little bit better. And the dogs do actually a wound to the engineer and take none, which is surprising because the direwolves are not resilient. They're chaff. They're fodder. They're redirectors. They're very fast movers, especially if they're in range of a general. But against even a single dwarf, he's a tough dwarf, and I have 4 attacks because I have the 2 front and the 2 second rank. But I figured I'd take some casualties and then probably crumble further, maybe even losing the unit. But I didn't take any, so that was great. And Nefarata dishes a ton of wounds, but she still dies. I mean, he did some wounds back, and I didn't have to worry about his static combat res. So she went down. I mean, there's not much you can be able to do in this particular scenario. In that, I still have a pretty strong unit in that Grave Guard with both Krell and a Tomb King. So who knows how this will work out. So Dwarves turn 3. He had reformed his Longbeards after defeating Nefarata, and he charged into the flank of these direwolves, which are not long for the world. And then he backs up his warriors, so he doesn't take the bait, which is pretty smart. Nothing less should I expect from Anthony. He's a very good general. And then his organ gun, direwolves, they go down. And then the Grudge Thrower has, again, a direct hit. It's perfect on a unit around 20 size, and it hits everybody in the unit. I take only 1 wound from, I believe, Krell, and I get Lookout Sirs. I get Lookout Sir for the Tomb King, and I lose, I think, 6 or 7 of the Grave Guard. Not so bad, but again, I mean, I can't bring them back. I have no more casters. And the dogs actually kill the engineer, which was a big shock. But hey, anything that's going to minimize some of the effectiveness of his war machines is a help. But the Longbeards wipe out the dogs and reform to face the slow march of the Tomb Guard coming their way. So turn 4 for Undead Legions. I decide, go for broke. Every turn that I move across slowly, I'm going to be taking shots from that grudge thrower, maybe even from the organ gun. I figured I'd charge the Longbeards. Let's get in there. Maybe I can overrun if I can wipe them out. I've got 2 very powerful characters and lots of killing blow and weapon skill 6. So I try to charge. And if I can make it, great. If I fail it, I'm not going to go much slower than what I'm moving at without a march. But I fail. And it's okay. That's not such a bad deal. But I'm opening myself up for a potential charge from him in the follow-up turn. Of course, he has very slow movement, so a bad roll could really put him in bad shape. I move up my archers, slowly move up my zombies, and move the archers on the other side up a little further. So things are moving a lot quicker without any magic. Turn 4 for the Dwarves sees, again, the Longbeards charging my Graveguard. I don't have a problem with that. He makes it in. The Grudge Thrower now takes aim at the archers and removes only a couple. The organ gun shoots off about 4 or 5 of the zombies that are very menacingly starting to move up on his warriors. We have a very bloody combat. I take off a few of these, as you can see, a good deal of his warriors, of his Longbeards. But I take a number of wounds and lose all of my Graveguard. So Krell now has 2 wounds on him. The Tomb King has 1, and this is not looking like it's going to go well. But I still have a little bit of hope. These are 2 powerful characters. So Undead Legion's turn 4. I try a Hail Mary charge. Probably not a smart move, but at this point, we're having fun. Let's see how things turn out. I have no illusions that these zombies are going to be effective against these warriors. But I figured, let's try it. Let's try and see if I can get in there and just see how these zombies always somehow surprise you. They do much better than you ever expect them. I have no illusions against a huge unit of warriors like this. It's not massive on some army scales, but for Dwarves, that's a big-sized unit of very powerful toughness 4 guys. They should chew through these zombies, no problem. But let's see. And I make the charge. I roll boxcars. What a time to roll double 6s. In any case, I get in there, and this is, we were laughing about it, so we'll see how this turns out. And my other skeleton archers go ahead and decide to shoot, and they aim at the organ gun and take off a wound. Only 1 wound on the organ gun. And the Tomb King goes to town. I lose Krell, but the Tomb King rips into this Longbeard unit, and as you can see, there's not a whole lot of these guys left, but still, the Tomb King's got 2 wounds on him. So it's not looking too good for my what once an elite unit hoping to try and save the day in this mission. And as I said, zombies will shock you. I cannot believe that they actually survived. I lose the combat, I crumble, but I don't do any wounds to him. No big deal, but I had a unit of maybe 17 or 16 zombies against 20 warriors. He's got a banner. I've got a banner. He's kicking out stronger attacks. He's got a stronger toughness on weapon skill 1 with a strength 3. Nothing. I'm always striking last, and we live. We survive. He wasn't able to do enough wounds. He couldn't kick out enough hits, and the zombies did what they were supposed to do and just tar up. It's ineffectual for the game, but it just makes me laugh that people rip into zombies. But a lot of people say Skaven slaves are better than zombies, and maybe they are. But zombies, they do their job. They really do. They will surprise you. The organ gun opens up yet again. That thing is crazy. Organ guns are in the dwarf list are phenomenal. And he takes off a few more of my skeletal archers. And the Longbeards finish off the Tomb King. Big surprise, right? He's got 12, maybe, not even 12. He's got 9 left, which includes the unit champion. So we ripped this unit apart pretty good, but, hey, it was inevitable. These are veteran dwarves, and, I didn't have much support, so it's not a big surprise, but, that's pretty much where we ended it. That we called the game. And this is what the board looks like. So, it was a good win for the Dwarves. It was kind of a funny, after about 3 or 4 beers, let's get another game in, and I was happy to get another scenario in the Nagash campaign series. But it just goes to show how tough and resilient the Dwarves can be, especially with a mission that is almost tailor built for them. I mean, it was like the whole mission was he didn't have to worry about the gate, trying to open the gate. I don't think we rolled him opening the gate even once. And just like other missions that were very skewed in favor of the undead or the vampire counts, this one was the reverse. So you're going to see skews in the scenarios. Just expect that. You're going through a narrative, you're going through a story, and you're trying to support the story. It's nice to have a different change of pace as opposed to just throwing down your shit kicker lists and lining up guys to attack each other. You don't need net lists or tournament lists to have fun in games, and this goes to show you just got to expect that not all of them are going to go your way, and they're going to be, some of them are going to be a little bit challenging in an uphill battle. This was one for me, and this was a big setback for the Undead Legions. That's the game, everybody. I hope you enjoy this. If you do, and you want to see more, please feel free to like, comment as you wish, and of course subscribe so you can see when I've posted other videos, other bat reports, other analysis of Warhammer and things not Warhammer. And thank you for joining and for watching. Have a great day.